And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. And first of all, I hope that you all had nice holidays and we wish you the best for New Year 2025.
That is right. But let's move on to our today's topic, which is Manchester United, and we are talking about post-Ferguson era.
Yeah, now we're gonna discuss all the struggles that have been happening there for now, well, over a decade.
Almost a decade, or over a decade.
Over
right
a
now.
decade at this point.
I'm sorry. I'm still processing 2016. That's why I'm still stuck in the past, kinda. But yeah, lots of things happen. Lots of coaches.
Lots of players, lots of
Players.
money spent.
Yeah, this carousel is still spinning. Yet we are not seeing any improvement. We saw some cups, but still this wasn't enough for the fans that are still remembering the better days with Ferguson
The glory days from like 90s and like
and beginnings of
2000s,
Yeah.
exactly. After Ferguson retired at the end of the 2012-2013 season, the new coach was unveiled, and it was David Moyes, who actually at this point was a really high prospect coach that did really good job with Everton and managed to keep them like in European places and to actually play like a decent brand of football.
Yeah, hype was there. He was also from Scotland.
Yeah.
Just like Ferguson, but yeah, Ferguson left him very old squad. I mean, even Ferguson back then was already old, and
Everyone got old, and and that's like the first problem that I guess a lot of United fans choose to forget. Like Moyes inherited a squad of like old Rio Ferdinand, old Nemanja Vidic, old
Scholes.
Patrice Evra, Scholes who retired, Giggs who retired. Like really not the best situation to come in, and he wasn't backed by the board also, like because they only spent less than 30 mil for Fellaini. And if that is your like key signing, well, you're in big trouble.
exactly, they spent way more in the
Following seasons,
following season that they earned. They earned something around 2 million euros, which is like nothing for English club of
exactly. Even at that
kind.
point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the issue was also with the young players. So literally, like when you look at the squad for that season, like one of the best young players at that time was like Jan Uzaj.
Yeah,
And
who remembers Jan Uzaj right
yeah,
now?
like that's really like we have issues. And I mean they did spend some more cash in the winter window when they bought Juan Mata from Chelsea, but
Something was not clicking.
exactly.
And that was just the first try of the transfers, and we mostly gonna talk about transfers because
I think that these are the sources of all of the issues, like. But yeah, exactly. So yeah, Moyes got the sack even before the end of the season. Ryan Giggs took over to finish out the season, and they finished in very disappointing for United standards 7th place.
yeah, which right now will be
They would take that at
will take
this
that,
point.
yeah.
But yeah,
It was just the beginning of
from
down.
going from 1st to 7th, a big dip.
Yeah, like Champions League finals, forget about
Not
it.
even close. Like they ran into Bayern in like
Yeah.
quarters, and yeah, that was it.
Yeah, but this first season after Ferguson left was like a shock moment because their fans, their management, everyone was still considering Manchester United as one of the biggest and the best clubs still, and capable of winning everything against anyone. And yet this club required a lot of renovation, and it was just getting started. And well,
I mean,
you kind of need to expect this thing to happen of dropping in everything. And yet Moyes was the first
Yeah, he was
to
the first victim of this
victim,
like
yeah.
post-Ferguson era, and when you look at his career, man, only recently like his image got like whitewashed with West Ham when he actually managed to win European title with them,
yeah.
though it is like Conference League, but at least some silverware. And yeah, I mean, like I
His
said,
coach still has like potential. He's good at his job, but like
he got
yeah,
there at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like he was literally given a hot potato of old players with no natural substitutes.
Exactly.
Because you look at it, you have Rio Ferdinand, you have Vidic, and like their substitutes, let's say like projected ones that United had in their squad, were Phil Jones and Chris Smalling.
Yeah, a popular Chris Smalling and Phil Jones from like many memes.
Many memes, exactly, and you have Januzaj, and like that's
was disappointing. Just like
exactly, and even worse, like even Fellaini was disappointing. Like in
he was
United,
disappointing even in Belgium national squad.
I mean, entire Belgium national squad was disappointing at that point.
Yeah. But then they got
Yeah.
way better. But still,
Yeah,
this club was like way out of the date, and Moyes was the first victim. In my opinion, he should get like a second chance, but yet everyone was like expecting.
yeah,
Way
everyone
too
expecting everything to just continue, and yeah, it had no realistic chances of just naturally continuing.
Yeah. So let's move on with the next
Victim.
victim. After Moyes, it was Louis van Gaal time to shine in Old Trafford Stadium, and yet it was another big shopping time for Manchester United.
Yeah. They didn't back Moyes with money, but they spent a lot of money in this summer. Like when Van Gaal came, one of the biggest transfer of that time was actually transfer of Angel Di Maria from Real Madrid. They paid almost £60 million for him, and he returned the investment with 3 goals scored in Premier League.
And just that, like, imagine future world champion.
Yeah, but like his time in United was just awful, and yeah.
Just like someone said, there was like a barrier for trophies in Manchester United, and blocking like the skills and all of the like self-esteem of the players.
Yeah.
Everyone who came there became like depressed.
It was the start of that like club literally becoming the graveyard of players, because Di Maria was good in Real Madrid, then he was good in Paris Saint-Germain, he was good in Juventus, he
And
was
also
good
in-
for Argentina, like he scored one of the most crucial goals for them in Copa America and in World Cup.
Yeah.
But in United, he couldn't do anything to save his life. I mean, that curse may have started also with Fellaini, because Fellaini, previous season for Everton, scored 11 goals in the Premier League. In all of his 5 seasons with United, he scored 12.
Just
Yeah.
yeah, but it took like
Five seasons,
yeah.
exactly. So, yeah, and like you mentioned, like the renovation was way overdue in United, and yeah, it started with literally all of the old players leaving at this year. So
Yeah, 'cause they
Evra
were
went
old.
to Juventus, Vidic went to Inter, Rio Ferdinand got released, and then he signed for QPR, I think. Also, they tried to get some younger players, but they spent a lot of money. But they brought in Rojo, they brought in Daley Blind, they brought in Luke Shaw, so one of the rare players who is still on the books, and it was like there for a long time.
Yeah. Yet, well, it's not like in video game that you just
Yeah, there's
buy
replace
and-
players.
yeah, and this starts to work. Like players need time in new place, new
Need time
city.
and need system,
and
big-
the system. Yeah.
and that's like the biggest issue that we're gonna come across with all of the like carousels of like players and coaches.
Yeah.
There wasn't a time in United history, like these last 11 seasons after Ferguson, when they had a clear plan. It was all survival football.
Yeah.
Get these players, they are good, they're gonna fit. Well, not necessarily. Like, if you don't have a core, and like United core was there before, but it got way too old for serious football.
Exactly.
And now you're trying to replace the core all at once, and it's hard job, especially when you consider this. Okay, Di Maria, marquee signing, you pay 60 million pounds for him, one of the highest transfer fees of that time. He lasts 1 year. So okay, now we need a new marquee player. Like only a year after you sell him for a loss, and you're just like back where you were like the season before.
Exactly, like not giving anyone more time. Like yeah, just like you said, there wasn't like, let's say, 5 years plan.
Yeah, it's just like let's see what happens, and just like at this point they started just like throwing money at players.
Yeah,
And
like yeah, money helps, but it's not everything in football.
exactly. So yeah, I mean they managed to secure Champions League at least in this season. They finished fourth in the league. It was kind of step in some direction.
That also shows how Van Gaal is a good coach.
Yeah, exactly, because he took this like dumpster fire he inherited, and
Yeah.
he started doing the right thing. Let's say like starting from scratch. But that wasn't long lived, I guess.
It's a hard thing if, yeah, just like you said, if your possible new best player, like key player Angel Di Maria, is there for such short time, and
What is he gonna do in 1 year?
yeah,
And also with who? Because like we said, their squad was really dry at this point. You had Van Persie, still you had Rooney, but they were also going up there in age. Like
yeah,
so.
like they were also looking for next thing after being a football player.
And literally, like the only player who was there, and was there until recently, was De Gea, and that's it.
Yeah.
So just like look at it from that perspective. Like it
Yeah.
was a like revolving door of players, and it started there.
Exactly. So you had one very good player like in the field, and one goalkeeper,
And that's it.
and
Well,
that's
like
it. Like what can you do in English Premier League or in Champions League with that? Like
exactly, that's just like the bare bones. And remember when we were talking about Liverpool, and it's about like picking up the pieces slowly, okay, and then like having them for years and years and building up on that core. And you had to, and like United was like, okay, Di Maria, he scored only 3 goals. Like, okay, let's sell him, let's try new. So yeah, let's go into the next season. So we come to the next season, second Van Gaal season.
and last one. Van Gaal.
Yeah, so that's now will start to show the ongoing issue with the Glazers era, let's say. So Di Maria was out, they sold him for a loss, and they decided to spend that money on Memphis Depay, and also they paid really good money for Martial. And they both came as really hot prospects, like
Yeah, like they were mostly focused on getting a very good forward line, but in my opinion, like this is like the last line that you are seeking for any improvements. If you are like creating like a new squad, you should start with the defense, and they kind of started also with that because they bought
they started
Bastian
it year before,
Schweinsteiger,
yeah.
and
But he was already old also, so that's like
he was, yeah, and that guy from Southampton,
Schneiderlin, yeah.
Schneiderlin, yeah.
But he was like at least a cheap signing, but like if you are Manchester United, you want to be at the top of the game
all the time.
You
yeah.
don't start buying these players, and not like he's a kid. Like he wasn't like 21 years old at this point when he signed to United. at least they started to get a bit younger, because like this is the year where Nani left, when Van Persie left, and you can see like by the place where they went to Turkey, like they will already pass their prime even in their last seasons with United.
Yeah, it was that strange time when every good old player was going to like Fenerbahce or like Galatasaray.
Habibi come to Fenerbahce.
And they came.
Yeah, exactly. But even though that Martial had a like contract clause that would give him some like crazy bonuses if he wins Ballon d'Or.
Oh yeah.
That never happened.
Like that.
Yeah, but that never happened. Memphis Depay was also really disappointing. They paid more than 30 million for him.
Buyer for trophies, like he's still working.
Exactly, and Depay proved his like worth later in the career because he played really good for Lyon
and Barca,
and then Atletico.
Yeah.
And well, then he decided for some reason to go to Brazil.
And he's scoring like some bicycle kicks.
Yeah, he's doing insane stuff, and he's still playing for a Netherlands national team. Yeah. But again, we come to the same conclusion. He lasted only two seasons.
2 seasons.
Yeah,
okay.
Not even full 2. I think year and a half, and that speaks volumes. Martial did last longer, but that's only because he was paid so much nobody wanted to buy him, and they wanted to just to offload him to some loans where he also pretty much failed. And now he's in Greece, like in AEK Athens, and it's just like graveyard of talent, man. Like it's a huge issue. And again, we came to the same point. Like, where is the building of the core? Where is the plan? Where is the idea? And the idea of Manchester board and a lot of Manchester fans is this player is at fault. And you can see it even now in modern times. It's Maguire's fault. It's, Garnacho's fault, De Gea's fault, Onana's fault, everyone's fault.
Yeah, and coaches.
Yeah, and coaches get sacked like nothing.
Morning, just like in the song.
Exactly. And again, where is the idea? Where is the system?
Yeah.
And this time Van Gaal didn't manage to like give them Champions League football. They finished 5th in the league.
Yeah.
And
they became Europa League club.
Yeah. So let's move on to the 4th season and already the 3rd coach.
Jose Mourinho. So starting with the next season, we had, like we said, Jose Mourinho, and while he preferred not to speak, we will speak about
that season and all of his future. Yeah. And I guess he was the longest lasting coach in all of these
all the time
turmoils of post-Ferguson era in United.
It's like carousel. Like
he lasted, I think, like 2.5 seasons.
2.5,
yeah. And at least this year he brought them some silverware.
Yeah, like Manchester United that season won 3 cups: Community Shield, EFL Cup, and Europa League, which was and still is the only European Cup for Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who just came in that season to United. Yeah,
and he was a free transfer from PSG, but let's look at this, like, he wasn't cheap. Never. And he was old. At this point he was already like 36 years old, and again we have a player who is there for 2 seasons. They brought in Mkhitaryan, who also lasted 2 seasons.
And Paul Pogba, for over 100 million euros.
100 million euros, and it's okay. It's not that bad. He was a top player at that point. He was really good in Juventus. But what is bad is you let the same player walk just few years prior to this.
Yeah, like there was a joke going all around the Premier League fans, like, what is the best place to hide 100 million euros? In the center of the midfield.
Exactly. And that's just like bad transfers that were there even at the end of the Ferguson era. Like, and then he was and again then it started also blaming the players. Like, even when Pogba went on a free, when his contract expired, Ferguson was telling how he disrespected the club, how this. Like, man, you can't blame a player if he goes on a free transfer. If he, the motivation for everyone is different. For example, okay, me as a Liverpool fan, I'm now in a situation where we have free players that are on expiring contracts. Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent.
Oh.
And well, after this last match,
with United, Trent would like to maybe.
Yeah, we already saw the memes about like Roy Keane saying he can go to Tranmere Rovers, and then, like the Tranmere Rovers responded like, "No, we don't want him," because that was such a bad game by him.
Embarrassing.
That was really such a bad game by him. But yeah, he's not the topic. But the topic is okay. So you let him walk. Then a few years later, you're paying over 100 million for him. Like, where is the strategy in this? Like, where is the mind? And at the same point, they already started of running out of players to sell. They flipped Schneiderlin to Everton for like some profit, but they already after 1.5 seasons they sold Depay for like a double loss.
Yeah, and also Di Maria with.
Who was season prior also sold for a loss. Yeah. So there's no time, there's no plan, there's no idea. It's just like situational football and
not thinking about, okay, let's try to be big in like 5 years. So okay, what do we need? We need everyone. Okay, so let's start with this and this and that.
Yeah, just like start filling up the position after position after position.
Yeah, in every transfer window, you just keep looking. Okay, so we get like, for example, nice midfielder Di Maria. We got like nice forward Memphis Depay, let's say, and now like Zlatan for like a second one, who was back then even he was just like standing there and just waiting for the ball.
And what is most embarrassing, like he was 36 at this point. He was their top scorer with 17 goals in the league.
With very simple football, just like waiting for a ball and try to score.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's again like that's not an idea. At this point they started at least bringing in some younger players that started getting some like first team experience. But really when you consider this team, and this is not that long ago, like almost nobody from that team is still in United shirt.
Yeah, because they were constantly thinking about today.
And it's only like 7 years apart at this point. And even when we look at the squad in like from like 5 years ago, it will still be the same situation, man.
Yeah, like I was just like checking like Transfermarkt, and I was like, he was there.
Yeah,
I remember like Schweinsteiger was there, and I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, and he was there, and then he was gone the next season, and
like most of them.
Yeah, so there's like no immediate plan. And that all goes with like the changes of coaches. Like you had Van Gaal, now you have Mourinho, who has completely different style of football, and now you're gonna buy 20 players for him to try to emulate that type of football that he wants to play.
Yeah, in just one season, like Jose Mourinho was in Real Madrid, and they were like creating his likable squad for his like
vision of
football and gameplay and all of this.
Like get the dirtiest center backs who would kick everyone.
Sergio and Pepe, yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, and you can't do this with Johnny Evans and Phil Jones, I guess.
Never. Like this won't work even in Real Madrid. Like.
So yeah, I mean, he did win some cups. They did win the Europa League. But still, like in Premier League, they were really bad.
Yeah, only 6th place in that season.
Yeah, and they only secured Champions League for the next season by actually winning the Europa League.
Yeah, that's why they were actually motivated to win that, because that was their only gate for Champions League.
Exactly. And now let's go to that season. After getting some silverware, finally, United maybe thought that they are back, but
no. It was a false alarm of Manchester United being so back, as they were saying. First of all, started with losing UEFA Super Cup final, and then it went even further with losing anything that they got to lose.
Yeah. and they were back in Champions League. They had pretty easy group there, but in the round of 16 they got like drawn against Sevilla,
Yeah.
who just beat them 2-1 on aggregate, and that's it. But yeah, they tried to make a statement this season actually. So they again went spending, and they bought one of the highest regarded strikers in the league at that point, Romelu Lukaku. So yeah, previous season he scored 25 goals for Everton, and even though he was a top scorer for United in the following season, it was, well, nowhere near these numbers. And yeah, again, at the end, when he got sold, again, 2 years later, he only lasted 2 years in the club.
Just like everyone.
Yeah, like 2 years max, done.
Max, yeah.
And that's it. And like he started actually like being one of the first players to speak against this like toxicity in the club and in the fan base, and like of him being a scapegoat, and like
Yeah,
he
there was
became
always
an issue.
one.
Yeah.
There was always one, just like we said.
Just pick one, and then that's it. Like, oh, he is the
Yeah.
problem. Like, De Gea is problem. He has bad distribution. Maguire is a problem. He gives the ball away. He misses chances. Like, everyone is always a problem, and like you don't look like the big picture. It's like you can't see the forest from the trees, and that continued. So
Yeah.
in the last segment we talked about like the lack of consistency. So actually they also bought one player. It's Victor Lindelof, who they bought from Benfica, and he is only one of 3 players
That
who are
is-
still there. And we are only 6 years removed at this point. And if we even consider last season, there will only be one more addition, and that's McTominay, who they sold this season to,
Yeah.
to Napoli. So what can you do in this situation?
Yeah, in football you need to invest a lot, but also give it a time.
Yeah. And they were just spending reckless money.
Hoping that this will work this
Yeah,
time.
you're just
and
like throwing everything like on the wall and just like hoping something will stick. And yeah, if you don't give it time, or you don't give it patience, or you do it without any structure, well, that's what you get. And like, what to
Yeah.
expect?
Yet Jose Mourinho, with what he got, achieved a second place in Premier League. Imagine this.
Yeah,
today.
and that's actually their best
Best season post
post-Ferguson. Yeah, like the closest they came to the title.
So, like we said, Jose Mourinho started this season, but this was his last months in this club. And well, once again, we need to talk about the shopping.
Yeah, that's like a noticeable topic here.
Exactly, and
This time they weren't able to sell almost anyone. They sold Blind after he had some issues with heart, so he couldn't even play anymore in England.
they sold him for only like 16 million euros.
Yeah, so they literally also sold him for a loss.
Yeah,
And
60 million euros will be a big money for Legia Warszawa, not for United.
yeah, exactly. And even though they only managed to sell him for some value, they managed to spend big again.
And they bought Fred.
Yeah, and he's also one of the victims of United fans in the following years, fan forums and all of the toxicity around the club, and Fred was one of the bigger victims, to be honest, also. And I mean, it's not that he was brilliant for United, it's not that he was worth these like 60 million that they spent on him, but he was doing a decent job. And what can you expect from a defensive midfielder? It's not like he's gonna like lift
Score.
your like game 10 times higher. Like even Arsenal, who bought like spent twice as amount of money on Declan Rice. Declan Rice isn't making that huge of a difference for them.
But he's doing his job on the
Exactly. And Fred was also kind of doing it, like, but
Trying to.
again, he was like constantly being like barraged and all of this, like, toxicity started to being like more and more obvious.
Yeah,
They also brought in Dalot that season. I mean, he's also one of the players who was always solid there. Like he's always gonna be a decent like fullback. But I mean, the poor guy, they're playing him on the left, they're playing him on the right. He doesn't know where he's playing, and he's there for 5 years. Like you have to like at certain point understand the players and understand what they are going through when they're like signing up for this.
yeah, like you still see very good players going there, and something is not clicking. Like the issue must be somewhere else.
Yeah, if it's one player, it can be that player. If it's two players, okay, we might have missed twice. But if like everyone who comes is
And-
having issues and has like a drop off in the production,
Yeah.
well, maybe the issue is you. It's like I always say, if one neighbor hates you, it may be that neighbor. If two neighbors hate you, okay, still potentially. But like if entire neighborhood hates you, well, maybe you're the issue. And that's
Yeah.
like what's with United now. And yeah, now Mourinho got the sack.
Yeah, because he preferred not to speak.
He preferred not to speak, and yeah, they brought in as a temporary solution, so similar as when Moyes left, when Giggs was this temporary like caretaker manager. They brought Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like their talisman striker from their glory days.
Yeah, from end of the 90s.
Yeah, and well, spoiler alert, even though he was planned only as a temporary solution,
He stayed for longer.
he stayed for a bit longer. And now we came to 1920 season, better known as the plague season, and
Yeah, and empty stadiums.
empty
season.
stadiums everywhere. And yeah, season that finished in October.
For some reason, and
Yeah,
quarterfinals and semi-finals and final of Champions League was on the one stadium
yeah, and one match only, in like
and one match only.
and well,
Crazy times.
And for United, that was like the only time I saw potential there, because they again spent tons of money. They brought in Van Bissaka for more than 50 million euros. Harry Maguire, who was like the most expensive defender at that point, who is also like one of the regular victims of the United
He's
fans.
still one of them.
Yeah, and I guess that he will also be now, because like what he missed at the end of the Liverpool match.
Yeah,
But nobody will.
probably there was an offside, but
Probably
let's
there was
move
an
on.
offside, but and also the ball kind of bounced. But it will be an issue. Harry Maguire missed a chance, and nobody's gonna think, what the hell is Harry Maguire doing there in the 97th minute of the game? But
on
yeah,
11th meter.
yeah, like on the penalty box, like
And having 3-pointer on his right leg.
yeah. Man, like better not discuss that. But
We
yeah,
prefer not to.
we prefer not to speak. But
And also Bruno Fernandes.
Bruno
which is
Fernandes,
still
who they
playing
bought
also.
in, well, right before the plague.
Yeah, from Sporting.
Yeah, for Sporting, and I guess it was an idea. Like, okay, so now we're gonna have like some midfielder, and they brought in Van Bissaka on the like right back position, who was then considered one of the best English right backs, and they also bought Dan James. Of course, he's still not there for 2 years.
Of course.
And Van Bissaka isn't even there, like, because they sold him for, well, quarter of, no, like the third of what they bought him for, and it's
still. But like,
but
money isn't money.
money isn't money for United. But after a while, actually, some players starting actually playing, because this is the season, well, first and the last season in United that well, Martial was actually playing good football. He scored 17 goals. Rashford also scored 17 goals. He was really good. And they finally
his
had
prime, I
a
would
yeah.
say.
And again, they managed to get after years and years, someone from their youth academy who gave like an instant impact,
gratification.
instant gratification, and oh yeah, that term is gonna age very poorly when I tell you that this person is Mason Greenwood.
Yeah. And now you see.
Yeah, he scored 10 and he was on the verge of being like a regular in the English team also. And yeah, there was something. But then things happened.
Yeah, things happened, but let us look on their like successes from that season, because they have achieved semi-finals everywhere.
Yeah.
Like in every cup that they were playing, and they were back again in Europa League.
And again, Sevilla.
And against Sevilla, which is the Europa
And again,
League
1-2 loss. So yeah,
yeah,
just
but
repeating of the past.
yeah, but like Europa League was invented
For Sevilla to win.
anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, and they got third place in Premier League.
So Champions League.
So yeah, next season they
And
got
yeah.
Champions League, and that was a great season.
That was like the best they had, I guess, since all of these things happened, because even though they won some cups under Mourinho and they will win some later,
Yeah.
this is like the pinnacle of it, I think, like, because you had all around decent season and you finally had some like showing of the younger players and like showing the idea, like at least like the bit of it. But the next year it all fell apart.
And yeah, that was fast.
The next season gave us some positives and some negatives. They had another second place finish in the Premier League, but some players again regressed. Like Martial scored only 4 goals in the Prem.
Yeah.
They had a disappointing Champions League where they finished 3rd place in their group, so they went back to Europa League, and they managed to go to the finals this time.
Yeah, that was a crazy final in Gdańsk with
Villarreal.
Villarreal. Yeah, which they lost in penalty shootout.
Crazy penalty shootout where at the end goalkeepers were shooting the penalties and
De Gea missed.
De Gea missed and Rulli didn't. So yeah, that was it. But
that was it for his career also in United, because
yeah, kind of.
like fans were also like
that was the
blaming
beginning
De Gea
of again.
for
Blame
everything.
De Gea.
Yeah, and Maguire.
Blame everyone,
Everyone,
literally. But yeah, I mean, Bruno Fernandes played at least the best football of his United career. Like he scored almost 20 goals in the Premier League, more than 20 goals in all competitions. So basically, at this point, he carried their season on their back, and it was a mixed bag. But again, they did some dodgy things in the transfer window, as always.
Yeah, like back again, we saw thinking about right now.
Yeah, and before there was Ten Hag, there was some players from Ajax, and it was Donny van der Beek this time.
Yeah, that was their biggest transfer in for almost 70 million.
Yeah, like with some bonuses, around that.
Yeah, but that was just the beginning of Ajax wave. But let's not go
too far. Yeah, we're gonna catch up with that. But yeah, I mean, they brought in some like players like Amad Diallo, who is now actually beginning to be part of their team, and now they're speaking highly of him, like he's the next big thing. But again, they will forget that they also brought Pelestri that season, who was supposed to be this next best thing, and
from Uruguay, and
now he's in Greece. So yeah, same as Martial.
Well,
I mean, it's like delusions. But at least if this season wasn't a step forward, but at least it wasn't a step back. Like
it was kind of stable.
Yeah, But then the next season, nothing is gonna be stable.
Yeah, like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got sacked. And
Mason Greenwood got suspended because of the assault charges,
Yeah.
and yeah, everyone just started playing worse and worse.
The barrier.
And the new season just new signings just weren't cutting it. So let's move on to it.
Yeah.
This was the end of the road for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at this point.
No
And-
Solskjaer time.
Yeah, and this was like one of the worst seasons they actually had, and it's starting promising. Like I said, last season they did like manage to play some decent football. They had some younger players who started to play. They had an idea, and they went on and splashed the cash again the following summer. They
Yeah.
brought in Jadon Sancho for more than 100 million euros. They brought back Cristiano Ronaldo after his, not that satisfying
Adventure.
final season in Juventus.
And Varane.
Yeah, who was like one of the highest regarded center backs in the world.
Yeah.
And like,
Pretty much interesting transfer.
yeah, and he was one of the two Real Madrid traps that they fell into, and the next one will come the following season. But yeah, people were now imagining, okay, like Ronaldo, one of the best players in our modern history, is back. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Like,
Hype was there.
hype was there, expectations were there, realization nowhere close. Like
Nowhere.
it was disaster from the get-go.
Ronaldo already was a player for Saudi League, not for Premier League.
Yeah, even though he scored ton of goals, like you could see with your eyes that he wasn't tracking back. He wasn't doing all of the things that are expected in the modern football.
He wanted to, but his body wasn't as good as it should be.
I mean, I don't even know if he wanted to be honest. And Jadon Sancho just all of a sudden forgot how to play football. Like, he only scored 3 goals like in the league.
The barrier.
That's it, man. Like imagine like he was like young star, not only of Dortmund, but of English national team.
Yeah.
He signs for United. In 6 months' time, he's dropped from the English national team. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, Varane started also like to fall apart. Like the like almost the moment he signed, he started getting some injuries, and now like few years later he tried to sign in Italy for Como. He played like few matches and just decided, okay, let's forget about this. Like, I'm retiring.
Yeah.
And Bruno regressed. He only scored 10 goals in the league. Rashford regressed. He only scored 4. Mason Greenwood scored 5, but he's gonna have a bigger issue starting this season.
Yeah.
When all of these accusations came out and he got suspended by United, instantly, and he never played a single match for them after that. He was completely out of world football for a year and a half.
Not surprised.
Yeah, because like we're talking about serious allegations and serious stuff, and the guy just crossed the line that shouldn't be crossed.
Exactly.
Let's keep it at that. But regarding football, well, everyone regressed at this point.
Yeah, and you can also see it by the scores in the end of this season, like 6th place in the Premier League and 0 cups.
Yeah, disappointing like showings everywhere.
Yeah.
And when Ole got the sack, they announced Ralf Rangnick as also sort of temporary solution.
Yeah.
He was there to like set up the idea, to set up the pieces, and then to choose his own successor, with still like remaining as like a sporting director or something
Around there.
yeah, but then he got like screwed out of that offer, and then he went on to coach Austria, but regarding
which
that,
very well for Austrian
yeah,
national team. Like
they
they
were
were very good in the last Euro.
yeah, they played some really good football, and considering they played it without Alaba and some like really important players,
Yeah.
even better. But yeah, let's not get carried
Drift
away.
away, yeah.
Exactly. So let's talk a bit about like Ragnick's philosophy, because at certain point, like he already started telling about how it is, about the issue of like changing the coaches and then changing the ton of players every year, and not having a system, not picking up players like around the coach or around the idea of how they
playing.
actually want to play football.
Yeah, like even today we are still like 3 years behind, like 2 years behind.
Yeah, 2.5 at this point.
2.5, let's
like,
say. Well, when you say Manchester United, what do you have like first in mind about gameplay? Like anything.
this is embarrassing.
This is embarrassing. Like you can, for example, say about some clubs like I don't know, like good wings, or like very good like
Defense, or like they have a top striker at least.
yeah.
United just keeps switching up the idea, because like literally when Ronaldo came, he became the focal point, and that killed off Bruno Fernandes. Like everyone digressed because okay, now this is the focal point. And my brother in Allah, if your focal point is someone who's in the deep 30s already,
Yeah.
like you're having issues.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Ragnick actually was speaking at that point about these things.
He wasn't afraid to speak.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to speak, and he wasn't like Mourinho, who was gonna say,
Not to speak.
yeah, who would prefer not to speak. He preferred to speak, and I guess that actually cost him this like arrangement that he had with the team, because he was
Maybe.
telling the truth, man.
Mhm.
Like
Man, he's German.
yeah, like straight to the point, like
Yeah, and he was dedicated to his job.
yeah.
And well, you need to be serious and true.
Yeah, and to be 100% in it.
Yeah.
And that was only the start of the issues. And then again, like people were blaming players, people were blaming Solskjaer, people were blaming everyone.
Same story for almost 10 years.
Yeah, like almost we're approaching almost a decade. And
Yeah.
now we're gonna go through few more seasons, and we're still gonna have
Talk
the
about
same,
the same
story.
Yeah.
It's Solskjaer out. It's now that was Ten Hag out. Now it's gonna be Amorim out in like two freaking months, because he's not winning any games.
anything, yeah. It's embarrassing, just like we said. Like first topic that comes to your mind when I say Manchester United, it's like embarrassment.
And yeah, after Ralf Ragnick left the club, his successor was Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, he at least started his tenure in United by making a statement, by doing the full renovation of all of the, let's say, parts of the field. He brought in some defensive players like Lisandro Martinez and mythical being called Malacia, who we rarely see that exists
Yeah.
because of the injuries. But he brought in a couple of very doubtful players, because it would be an understatement to say that Anthony was overpaid.
Way too much.
I mean, that was really, really bad. But at
Very big
least
flop.
he made a statement out of Cristiano Ronaldo, like about all of these things that people were kind of masking by like his goal scoring in the previous season, about all the issues that he affected on the rest of the team by like being the focal point and everyone having to play for him.
Yeah.
And
Pass to Ronaldo and
yeah.
let's see what will happen. Like,
Yeah,
that is
and
the tactic.
Ten Hag was having none of it. So it actually ended up in kind of a resurgence in Rashford, because he again was playing really good football this season. Sancho came to life like a bit, but then he's gonna have his own fight with Ten Hag bit later. And yeah, I mean, they had a decent Premier League season. They managed to finish third, and they could even make it a bit better because, like, after this Ronaldo fiasco, they went on like a 6 games winning streak, like, and
Out of a sudden.
yeah, after the World Cup, they started playing really good, but then again, like, it kind of bit vanished.
Maybe this was also like World Cup effect. Like everyone was kind of everyone who's good.
This was a weird season because of this. Like, it was the first time that we had like a major international tournament during the season.
Yeah, during the winter.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah. Again, like I said, questionable things, and one of the questionable things was Anthony, and the second questionable thing was Casemiro, because he's paid a lot of money, not only transfer fees, but like his wages are huge.
Second transfer of this season by United transfer in after Antony.
And like you can just see the football left him, and they always say leave the football before the football leaves you.
Yeah.
And Casemiro, like, he just doesn't have the legs anymore, and they hope that he will have them, but it was like very quickly like
dropping.
Like he just can't do it anymore in such a physically intense league as it's Premier League, because the only thing that you must do is be able to run like 100 minutes, like not 90 minutes, like 100 minutes.
Yeah, because we are in recent times actually, so the additional time isn't like at max like 3 minutes, it's like 5 minutes, 7.
Now it's gonna be much more. Now the second full season of Ten Hag, and well, previous season.
Well,
yeah, we're almost into the modern day.
And
But yeah, so this season, well, more of the same, I guess, because they also splashed a bit of cash on several players.
Yeah.
They decided that they need some like switching up in the midfield, and they needed like a full on attacker because they didn't have it in the previous season.
So they bought Højlund.
They bought Højlund from Atalanta for a huge amount of money, and
for spending there is like no limit for United for decade.
Yeah, and like with zero return, which is the worst part.
Yeah, in like these like 2 seasons that we have spoke about, they've spent over 200 million and 50 something.
Yeah, to get
4 million.
One FA Cup that will come this season.
Yeah,
but it came together with 8th place finish in the league, and generally very disappointing season. Like, when you look at the positives, I could maybe single out only, well, FA Cup. Well, they won against City in the final.
Yeah,
and also, let's say, resurgence of 2 players from their youth, so Garnacho and Kobe Mainu. But let's say that all of the rest were just bunch of negatives, because okay, they thought the hair was a problem, so they bought Onana. And okay, so they didn't like the hair because he wasn't good with his feet. But
and he didn't score in Gdańsk.
yeah, but they forgot that, well, for the goalkeeper, he has to be firstly good with his hands.
Yeah, with saving.
Actually saving shots.
Yeah.
So they bought Onana, and well, that didn't didn't age well. Also, what didn't age well is the entire idea and philosophy that was, well, already gone, I guess, in this season.
Yeah, like just look which place they got in Premier League.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, and the only thing that I guess saved Ten Hag from getting the sack was winning the FA Cup. And when we
with
come
Manchester City.
when we come to the current season, again we had huge spending. Again, another attacker, Xerxes, who actually got booed off by his own fans, like recently in the match against Newcastle when he got subbed off in the first half, and they are already looking to sell him
grab
on.
something new.
And this is like never stopping issue.
Carousel.
And you were actually correct. Ten Hag got the sack even before Christmas.
Yeah.
They
like
got
in our predictions.
Yeah. So Van Nistelrooy came and did a decent job in the few matches, but it was obvious that he isn't long-term plan.
Yeah. He
And
was actually a temporary coach.
So they brought in Amorim. So Amorim is a guy who did wonders with Sporting.
Yeah.
He bought some great under-the-radar players like Victor Gyökeres, who he bought from Championship, so second tier of English football, and he's one of the finest strikers in the world currently.
He got nose for like scouting.
Yeah, but what is the problem? And the same thing that Ragnik was talking about.
Yeah.
He has a system. He has an idea of how he wants to play football. And he now currently is inheriting a team of players he didn't pick. He didn't have any part of like choosing them. And he has his own style that he wants to continue like using. So this means that now they're gonna have to bring in 10 new players, I guess.
Exactly, like
that would fit his system and his idea. But if they do this, then you can't sack Amorim after 1.5 years.
Yeah.
And you can't change all of these players again and sell them after one bad season.
Yeah,
like it's
because
counterproductive, and you're paying a lot of money for them. Like imagine now with Sancho, you paid over 100 million for them.
Once again.
Now you can't even give him away because like his value dropped so much by him not playing well and not fitting in the idea of any of the managers who actually coached him, because he wasn't played by the actual managers who brought him in.
Yeah.
And all of these things that come to idea. So just in this summer, United spent again like shitload of money. They bought few defensive players. They brought Mazraoui, they brought De Ligt, they brought Xerxes. And now all of them are like, okay, Amorim, do something with them. And they started really bad under Amorim. And I like I always say, as a Liverpool fan, one of the biggest pleasures is watching the United stand when they lose.
Me too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you see the comments, like already people talking about Amorim out. Like, do you have any brain matter? Like, do you have any brain matter in your head? Like, or is it like pudding? like,
or at least some patience. No.
Like, what do you think that can happen? And this like brings me to the conclusion. Now we had that option that I'm telling you about, but knowing United, knowing the Glazers, knowing the toxicity of the fan base, and knowing everything,
And the management.
yeah, like God knows what will happen.
Yeah. That's the hard part of actually our today's video, like the predictions for the future of United, because anything can happen. Like Amorim, if he will lose today with Liverpool, which was like very close, I think that won't be like a sacked in the morning thing, but like losing with Southampton, Wolverhampton, I don't know, Leicester City maybe,
anyone,
Everton, that will be a real issue.
I mean, they would start to go for his head without any reason. When you consider like the current top teams in the Premier League, this system, okay, now Liverpool has a new coach, but he inherited a system that he only tweaked, and he didn't even bring any new players or anything. Like, he just inherited and tweaked it a bit.
Yeah.
Guardiola
He didn't want it
Yeah.
anyone new because he was like okay with what he got.
Yeah, because Klopp handed him like a perfect team.
Machine, yeah.
Yeah, that he just tweaked and gave them like a new wave of, let's say, ambition. Because like I
Yeah,
can guess
sometimes
like,
you just need this like new broom.
yeah, and that's it, and
Yeah.
that works. When you consider Arsenal,
That was
Arteta,
also being built for years to come.
exactly, and some Arsenal fans were also like doing this thing Arteta out. Some of them are still Arteta out, and to be honest, I would more understand them to say this now, with the idea of like, okay, he brought us so far, but we need someone else to take us this like one step that we're missing because they're still not winning any like trophies.
Yeah, like Arsenal dropped.
But
kinda, yeah.
But imagine like if you said like Arteta out after 5 months of him losing with the team who had like freaking Nicolas Pepe and like people who didn't even want to be there, man.
Exactly. Like
So he did this like rebuild, and what he did is like, okay, he brought in stable defense, like he bought Ben White, he bought Gabriel Magalhães, he brought Saliba, he brought Odegaard and Rice for the midfield, like Gabriel Jesus and Havertz for the attack. So he did the entire renovation. He didn't do it in one summer. It was like season after season after season. You keep building on
that's
it.
a healthy thing.
Exactly.
Just like Leo Ben Hacker also was always saying, it's not like this. It's a step-by-step process.
Exactly. And United has this idea of like we are destined to win titles.
Yeah.
Like nobody is destined to win titles. You have to put in a work and you have to be smart about it.
Yeah, investing and trying, but like having a plan.
Having a plan and having an identity and having an idea how do you want to play. At
Exactly.
this rate, what they're doing is just becoming more expensive Tottenham.
More expensive. Yeah, but with the trophies. Still,
Yeah,
yeah.
because like Tottenham is like a whole different level of that.
Yeah, we can also
But yeah.
talk about it sometime.
Of course. But yeah, like let's actually wrap this up and not be like a 2-hour episode. Like best case scenario, Amorim will get like 3 years to actually step by step keep improving the team,
Selling
have a
and
feel for
buying.
the players, selling, buying, discovering some like young players from their own academy.
Yeah.
Because that's always a must. You
Of
have
course.
to have them to
I
keep
will
them coming.
never believe that United has a bad school for like under 20 players, maybe
Yeah.
under even 15.
Yeah. And you have to also start relying on that a bit, especially in the era where you spent the last decade spending as a maniac with zero return to it.
Yeah, over billion. I bet they have
Yeah,
spent. Yeah,
more than billion.
more than a billion. And
For what?
where is there like
For the
Champions
Europa
League?
League and like few cups.
Yeah, two times Europa League, Community Shield,
So yeah.
EFL Cup, FA Cup, but like where's Premier League and where's Champions League?
Yeah.
That really matters actually.
Yeah. So like best case scenario is that. Worst case scenario is they're gonna have like mediocre this season. I mean that's already guaranteed because they're like in the bottom half of the table currently.
Yeah, like 14th place.
Something around
50th,
that.
yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah, somewhere around there. And yeah, they're gonna have another disappointing season next season, and they're gonna sack Amorim, and they're gonna be like, okay, another like
Next one.
yeah. And it's gonna be it's just like a
Just like Ariana Grande's songs. Next one, please.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. So I don't know. Even like you said, I wouldn't even be comfortable on betting what is gonna happen. But I'm saying
No
like
one
this
will.
is like the best case scenario for them. This is like the worst case scenario, and
For me, they can have another decade of just this like carousel, like from the Squid Game.
yeah.
You know?
And if they don't learn anything by the second decade of repeating the same thing, I'm gonna at the end have to agree with like Goldbridge and say like Ineos out, Glazers out.
Yeah.
Because then that's the issue. Let's say like how the hell are you running the club, man? Like
Yeah, like if you don't have any idea for 10 years, what's your idea for next year,
Exactly.
if there's any, because there haven't been.
It's literally like this, like year after year after year after year, and then like yeah.
Yeah,
At
and-
certain point, like you have to say like, if you don't know how to play, I'm gonna take away your toys, and like
Yeah, and like put them on like
high shelf. That's it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, we thought that this will be like the best to end. Leave us your thoughts in the comments right down below. Maybe you see some good times approaching Manchester United, or maybe you see another decades of like same
But yeah,
as it was.
let us know what you think actually, and will by the end of the decade, United manage to at
win
least
a Champions League.
yeah, or at least Premier League. Like we're taking anything at this point.
Yeah, let's say that they will win one time Premier League, and is it gonna be this coach or maybe next coach? Like
God knows.
God
like, at
knows.
this point.
Go
So
like
yeah.
100%
It's a
with your
casino.
imagination. Yeah, and thank you for being here. Thank you for any like and subscribe, and see you in next episode.
Bye, guys.